my keys?
Why do I have to take out the garbage?
I'm too sick to go to school.
Quit hogging the bathroom! Stop!
If you're having a hard time living with all the noise, it's even harder to live without it. Fake pills with fentanyl are the #1 killer of youth in Arizona. Learn how to talk to your kids at talknowaz.com. This message is sponsored by the Substance Abuse Coalition Leaders of Arizona.
Ever wonder what happens when nitro meets fire? It's lightning in a bottle. Thunder rolls in your chest. It's where ambition meets asphalt, where some dreams are made and others go up in smoke. It's an experience like no other.
See for yourself March 21st through 23rd at the NHLRA Arizona Nationals at Firebird Motorsports Park, where every ticket is a pit pass and kids under 12 and parking are free with general admission. The NHLRA Arizona Nationals, March 21st through 23rd.
To everyone who loves the taste of tradition, come enjoy a classic Wisconsin fish fry at Culver's.
I'm Genesis from Culver's in Claremont, Florida. And here, family fish fry is a part of who we are. We've been serving up fish fry favorites for over 40 years, all thanks to the Culver family roots and Wisconsin supper clubs, the place where the fish fry was perfected. If you're craving something crispy on the outside and flaky on the inside, you've got to try our hand-battered North Atlantic cod. It's perfectly seasoned and my personal favorite. Or, if you're in the mood for a little extra crunch, our lightly breaded butterfly jumbo shrimp hits the spot every time. Whatever you order, I promise it will be made with love by a team who cares, because we want every guest to feel like family. That's just how we do it in Wisconsin. Dive into delicious with all your fish fry favorites at Culver's.
From Wisconsin with love, welcome to Delicious.
Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, we're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text DESERT to 27800 and get our premium wash for free. Stay clean, superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Free agency continues in the NFL. The Suns finish up their road trip tonight in Houston. And ASU basketball reportedly makes a major decision for next season. Welcome in to today's edition of the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060 or on the KDUS AM 1060 app, or you're joining us on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. The Cardinals made a move yesterday, and that's where we'll start today's program.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
I don't know if we would say that this was really high up the list for the Arizona Cardinals in free agency. It was certainly on the list. It was something that we all, I think, wanted to see the team do in free agency. We just weren't sure. I think we all felt pretty confident an edge rusher or a interior defensive lineman were going to be added in free agency, right? Felt pretty comfortable about that. I wasn't sure if a backup quarterback was going to walk through that door for the Arizona Cardinals in free agency, but that is exactly what happened yesterday, as it was reported that the Cardinals plan to sign veteran quarterback Jacoby Brissett to a 2-year deal. So that is the backup quarterback option that the Cardinals have chosen to bring on board. And I'll tell you, I like this a lot. This is a really nice signing for the Arizona Cardinals because he checks all of the boxes. A starter, a guy who has starter experience, I should say, played for multiple different organizations, started with New England, was in Indianapolis, Miami, Cleveland, Washington, started 5 games last year for New England. Last year in New England, went 1-4 in the 5 games as a starter, but he was there to be one thing and one thing only, and that was the bridge quarterback to Drake May. Hey, we want to take our time getting Drake May up to speed. We want to make sure that we are comfortable making that switch to our rookie quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, you're familiar with this place. You're familiar with this team. You're familiar with everything going on in New England. Can you be our bridge? Can you be our starting quarterback for the first half of the season, maybe? He ended up going 5 starts, went 1-4 in those 5 starts in his career, has thrown for over 11,000 yards. 53 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. You look at this guy and you say he checks all the boxes. Starter experience, veteran, played with different organizations. What does that tell me? I said it yesterday. It tells me this is a guy who teams feel comfortable bringing into their building as a backup quarterback because he's not going to ruffle any feathers. He is going to be the perfect backup quarterback for your team for when, if you need somebody to play 2 or 3 games because Kyler Murray goes down with an injury, your season's not over. How many times do teams have that catastrophic injury to a quarterback and he's going to miss maybe a month, 4 or 5 games, and you just know that your season is over because you don't trust the backup quarterback to give you a chance? Guess what? Jacoby Brissett gives you a chance. Is he going to wow you? Absolutely not. There's a reason why he's been a backup his entire career. There's a reason why he is now going to be on his 6th different franchise. But he checks all of those boxes. What I find very interesting about this is the length of the deal. Because I think there are 2 ways for us to look at this being a 2-year deal, reportedly, that the Cardinals gave out to Jacoby Brissett. The non-conspiratorial version of events is the Cardinals didn't want to have to do this again next year. They wanted to have somebody in-house that could be their backup quarterback for 2 seasons so that they're not right back in this market next year. They identified a guy that they like. They identify a guy that fits with their offensive system. Remember, he played 11 games in Cleveland with Drew Petzing when Petzing was the quarterback coach there in Cleveland. So everybody's kind of comfortable with each other. You're Drew Petzing. You're the offensive coordinator. That's my guy. I'm comfortable with him. He knows what I'm going to ask of my quarterbacks. So when you identify a guy like that, bring me that guy in on a multi-year deal so I'm not doing this again next offseason. I'm not right back in the backup quarterback market when maybe I don't like the options. And maybe Jacoby Brissett is my best option. So get him for 2 years, give myself a 2-year runway of I have a high-floor backup quarterback. I don't have a high ceiling, but I have a high-floor backup quarterback that I'm paying $6-7 million. That checks that box. That's the I'm not putting on the tinfoil hat version of events. The tinfoil hat version of me, when seeing this news yesterday and seeing that it was a 2-year deal, wondered aloud, especially because Jacoby Brissett was a bridge quarterback last year. I thought to myself, are they trying to set up an exit ramp? What do I mean by that? Are they trying to maybe set it up to where if they choose to move on from Kyler Murray at the end of the season, they have somebody already in-house that can be that bridge if they went out and got a young starter in the draft? Or that if they brought somebody in that was more of a reclamation project, you now have a quarterback battle on your hands, Jacoby Brissett, the veteran backup that's been there, and then you also bring somebody in to compete, right? Anthony Richardson there in Indianapolis, they bring in Daniel Jones, there's going to be a competition. Jacoby Brissett's not Anthony Richardson, but you see my point here of bringing in somebody to provide that competition. Or if this thing bottoms out and you're picking pretty high in the draft, or you move up to get your quarterback, you've got your bridge, because guess what? Jacoby Brissett just did that last year. Again, I think we're a ways away from that being the reality, but I did think about it yesterday. The thought crossed my mind that the Cardinals making this a 2-year deal could have been planning for next year, moving on from Kyler Murray. Not to say that Jacoby Brissett is your next quarterback, but that you want a veteran in-house makes you feel a little bit more comfortable moving on from Kyler and maybe reevaluating your options. I think it's more the former than it is the latter. I think it's more they don't want to be in this mess of needing to pick a backup quarterback year in and year out. They want some stability at that position. They want somebody who's familiar with the system, and then next year, who's already been there for a year, you would feel even more comfortable if that guy had to start 2 or 3 games for you. I think that's really the motive for the 2-year deal. But I did wonder aloud yesterday, and now bringing it to the air today, could they kind of be just trying to hedge their bets a little bit and have an insurance policy for next offseason if things go sideways and they want to move on from Kyler Murray? They have somebody in-house that could be their bridge while they try to figure everything out. You could do a lot worse as a bridge quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. He started 5 games last year, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 826 yards, doesn't turn the ball over a whole lot, 87 career games. He's made 53 starts. I told you the numbers, 11,400 career yards, 53 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Also has rushed for nearly 1,000 yards in his career, 15 more touchdowns. And this stat that is in this NFL.com story that I am reading. Kyler Murray started all 17 games last year, but missed some time in 2023, coming back from the ACL injury, and then suffered the ACL injury in 2022. Without Kyler Murray, the Cardinals went 1-8 with Josh Dobbs and Clayton Tune starting in his place. You want somebody that provides you a higher floor than 1-8. You want somebody that if you're missing Kyler Murray for 2 or 3 games, gives you a chance to win one of those 3 games, gives you a chance to at least be competitive in those 3 games, to have a chance in the fourth quarter, and that's what Jacoby Brissett provides. So just looking at this from a 2025 lens, you feel a lot better if you need somebody to pinch hit for Kyler Murray for a game or 2 throughout the course of the season. You feel better about that. Long term, I wonder if there's a little bit of a hedge, there's a little bit of an insurance policy that the Cardinals are putting in place here with Jacoby Brissett. But another box checked. So made the big splash with edge with Josh Sweat. Now have checked the box of backup quarterback. There's still a lot for this team to do. We're going to touch on that here today on the program. I'm starting to grow a little bit worried about the Cardinals and their activity or lack thereof here over the last 2 days, today and yesterday. But they get Josh Sweat, they land the backup quarterback, and they get somebody who provides them a high floor option in case they need somebody for a game or 2 this season. So you can't be too upset about that. You can be upset about some of the other things they haven't done this offseason, but they got the top edge rusher available, and they got a really good backup quarterback option. And I know I campaigned for Gardner Minshew here on the show, and I know we talked about Marcus Mariota. We talked about all these different options, right? And there's different reasons to pick those guys that I just mentioned. And I said Minshew made some sense. Jacoby Brissett makes sense for all of the same reasons that Minshew does. Been with a bunch of different organizations, has that starting experience. I mean, you have somebody right now that's backing up Kyler Murray that has made 53 career starts. Kyler Murray goes down for a series in a game, you feel like you have a trusted veteran that you can turn to. Right? Kyler Murray goes down in the game with a concussion. Just giving you an example here. You're not all of a sudden going, oh no, Clayton Tune has to finish this game out. We don't stand a chance. You now go, oh, we have Jacoby Brissett. It's going to look different. But Jacoby Brissett, steady hand, veteran presence, is not going to run away from that pressure, going to run away from that environment, has done it before, and is probably going to do it again throughout the remainder of his NFL career. So high regard, high marks for me on this move. They needed to get an upgraded backup quarterback. We were concerned on whether or not they were going to do it because we can talk about it here on these airwaves. We can talk about it in podcasts. We can write about it in the newspaper. But a lot of the focus was going to be on the defensive side of the ball. And I wondered if this was going to fall to the back burner and be a last-minute thing. The Cardinals said no as they get Jacoby Brissett for a 2-year deal, bringing him here to Arizona. So you can check that box. Kyler Murray has a new backup quarterback. They're paying him about $6.25 million over the next 2 seasons. And so they give themselves an insurance policy for the next 2 years in case things go south. The phone number for you to join us here today on the program, 480-864-1060. You can also join us on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. We're already going over there. Michael is excited about the backup quarterback, but mentions Cards not getting a D-line player worries me. So you're getting both ends of the spectrum today. Happy that you get a backup quarterback, but still a little uneasy about the way the rest of the offseason is going. Don't worry. I echo your sentiment here today, Michael. I get it. I understand kind of being uneasy about where things stand right now. We're going to touch on that a little bit later on here in the program. But coming up on the other side of the break, it's a question that feels like it has a common sense answer. Should we want the Suns to make the play-in tournament? We'll answer it next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Enroll in Farm Bureau Financial Services Driveology, and you'll instantly save 10% on your auto insurance premium. Over time, your safe driving habits could earn you even bigger savings, up to 50%. Learn more and start saving with Driveology at fbfs.com/save. 10% savings applied at enrollment for select coverages. Future savings based on individual driving behaviors and varies by coverages selected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, Saturday, August 2nd. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Being in an auto accident is traumatic. You need to call the best law firm that has the experience to get you the best results. Call 977-1900. That's 977-1900.
is the way to go. Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
Hi, welcome to the IKEA Dream Bedroom event.
I've been extra sleepy lately. Glad I made it here.
You're in luck. IKEA family members save 15% on all bed frames and bedside tables.
Ooh.
Plus, free shipping on small orders over $50.
Am I still dreaming?
It's for real. Save even more with buy one, get 50% off deals on table lamps, curtains, and more.
Nice.
Shop the IKEA Dream Bedroom event in-store or online today.
Offer valid 2/19 to 3/17/25. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary. See store and ikea-usa.com/sleep for details. Restrictions apply.
I'm Jim Rome with your Rome Report. The Shield is so wild, but nowhere more so than the QB Carousel. Honestly, never have I been so fascinated by so many has-beens, never wers, never will-be's, and unproven dudes moving around. So exactly who and what am I talking about? How about the turnover factory that is Daniel Dimes? He ends up going to Indy on a one-year deal. Uh-oh! Looking at you, Anthony Richardson. The fact that they brought in Dimes to compete with AR tells you how much AR stock is plummeted there. And my dude, if you can't beat out Dimes, then you are now a penny stock without a very bright future. Why I'm so fascinated by this extremely uninteresting QB competition in Indy is unclear even to me. Maybe it's because of how quickly the Colts have lost interest in Richardson. And although I do everything I can to avoid looking directly at Daniel Dimes, I admit it, I will be tracking this one. I mean, who doesn't stop to stare at a train wreck? I'm Jim Rome.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with a sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Teams Out West brings NFL, NBA, MLB, and local sports talk to you Monday night starting at 7 on KDUS AM 1060 and the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. I feel obligated to continue, and it's not even a bit, but to continue the conversation we had on yesterday's show, because if you were listening in hour number 2 of the program yesterday, we told you the ongoing problem here in the studio of the air situation. And I was told it was being worked on, and as the day progressed yesterday after we got out of here, I learned that the rest of the building is like an icebox. And it is right now currently isolated to our studios. So to update everybody, because producer Dylan wasn't here yesterday when we started this bit, a fan has now been put into his little studio where he runs the show out of. And during the breaks, I've got the ring light in here. I've got the overhead lights. The TV's on. The door's closed. It gets a little toasty in here. So the moment I'm done with the segment, I'm out of here. I got to cool down. And in the break, producer Dylan was like, well, you can just take the fan. And I'm like, I could. Then there's just going to be a big, giant industrial fan blowing in the back of the segments. We can't do that. So we are pushing through. But I do want to let everybody know that we are basically at the same spot we were yesterday. So it is an ongoing process. And I haven't learned my lesson because if you're watching on the YouTube, I still have a hoodie on. The problem is the moment I step into the hallway, it's an icebox. So we got to find a nice balance here. Maybe we'll try to find it over the course of the 2 hours here on the program. The Suns in action tonight. They're going to finish up their 4-game road trip. From the beginning, from the outset of this 4-game road trip, we've had one simple request. 2-2, win against Dallas, steal a game someplace else. If you did that, wasn't really going to get on you all that much. I've gotten on Coach Bud quite a bit over the last couple of days. But if you go 2-2 in this road trip, I would feel like you have accomplished a fair expectation. That is still in front of this team tonight as they finish up against Houston as part of this road trip. But it got me thinking about a question because we are, and I've been pretty clear on this and I said it yesterday, it's kind of a fake pursuit of this play-in tournament spot. Right? They're not, I feel like I can be honest with the listeners of this program. I can be honest with you. You're honest with me. We can call this what it is. This is not a good basketball team. In fact, I would go as far as to say they're a bad basketball team. Poorly constructed, poorly coached, poor execution. Don't do the little things right. Just a bad basketball team. If you were going to come up with the parameters, the rubric for what a bad basketball team consists of, you would say not coached very well, not put together very well, don't do the little things, lose all the important battles, right? Rebounding, turnovers, fast break points, second chance points, all of those things you would say make up a bad basketball team. The Suns do all those things. Suns are poorly put together. Is anybody going to argue that this team is poorly put together at this point? Is there anybody out there arguing that this team is well coached? They're poorly coached. And I think some of the coaching decisions actively hurt this team. Poor execution. How many sequences can we point to over the course of the season where in a span of 90 seconds or 2 minutes, the Suns completely give away a game? Completely give away an advantage that they have. A double-digit lead evaporates because Devin Booker has turnovers on 3 straight possessions. Or you're in Houston with a chance to win a basketball game and Tyus Jones commits a bunch of turnovers in a short little 2-3 minute span. How many examples do we need to have? Losing to shorthanded basketball teams like Memphis both times that you've played them recently. That game back in December when you played them at home and they were shorthanded, and then again the other night when they were shorthanded. I mean, how many examples do we need to have to talk about the execution of this team is not very good? All of that added up, you've got yourself a bad basketball team. Bad basketball teams don't deserve playoff spots. Bad basketball teams don't deserve to be in the play-in tournament. But because the NBA gives out 10 seeds, 10 spots in both conferences, you have some bad basketball teams in the East that are going to get in and be in the play-in tournament. And you're going to have, I think, at least one bad basketball team get in the Western Conference. Because Dallas is sliding with all the injuries that they're facing. Just a lack of a roster, lack of depth that they have. And the Phoenix Suns are in this mix. That's the only reason why we're having this conversation today is because Kyrie Irving went down for the Dallas Mavericks. If that wasn't the reality, we're not talking about the Suns maybe making this run, and I don't even think it's possible. That's why I've called this a fake playoff push, a fake playoff run. So let's ask and answer this question. Should we want to see them finish off this playoff run? Should we want to see them get into the play-in tournament? I think your default reaction would be yes. Your default reaction would be, I always want my team to make the playoffs. Do you want to get embarrassed in the play-in tournament? You're going to get in, you're going to be the 10 seed, right? So let's do the math. You have to win 2 games in a row. 2 games in a row against decent basketball teams. Remember, the stretch of time between wins for the Phoenix Suns against teams that had a winning record. Remember that stretch we told you about where they went over a month, didn't win a game against a team with a record above 500 in the month of February? Do you remember that? They started off March with one of those wins, and we were like, the last time they did this was the end of January against Golden State. You're going to have to do that twice, because last I checked, and I'm going to pull it up here just to make sure we're speaking correctly here on the program, but you're going to have to beat two teams in a row that are above 500, because Minnesota above 500, the Clippers above 500, the Kings above 500 right now. So let's just, Producer Dylan, if you would afford me the time, I want to take us on a little bit of a journey here. Let's, for just a brief second, everybody, imagine a world where the Phoenix Suns have the same record as the Dallas Mavericks. They're 500. They're 33-33. I know, a tough world to live in, but I would just like to live in it for just a brief moment. And they were the 10 seed. And the play-in tournament started today. They would play Sacramento, a team above 500. They would have to win that game against Sacramento and then beat the loser of Minnesota and the Clippers. They would have to win 2 games in a row against teams with records above 500. I'm going to do the thing in radio you're not supposed to do. I'm going to ask a question I don't know the answer to. When's the last time the Suns did that in the season? If I pull up the schedule, when is the last time that the Suns won 2 games in a row and they were against teams with a winning record? Because their last winning streak was in January when they won 3 in a row against Brooklyn, Washington, and the Clippers. So that doesn't apply. They had a 2-game winning streak when they played Washington and Detroit. That doesn't apply. A 3-game winning streak, Atlanta, Utah, Charlotte. That doesn't apply. Utah and Portland in December. That doesn't apply. Golden State and San Antonio. It doesn't apply there, although maybe at the time they were above 500. You'd have to go back to the hot start to the year where they were 8-1. That's how far back you have to go to find them winning 2 games in a row against teams with winning records. And I'm actually going to check. I'm going to look at this game against Golden State and against San Antonio. This was the end of November and December. The Suns were 11-8 after winning that game. Golden State was 12-7. Okay, so we beat a team with a winning record, and then we played San Antonio the following game. Was San Antonio at that time a team with a 500 record? Everybody's favorite game. I asked a question that I don't know the answer to on the air. They were 11-10. You have to go all the way back to November 30th and December 3rd. It is March 12th. That's how far back you have to go in the schedule to find a stretch where the Suns won 2 games in a row, back-to-back, against teams that when they played them had winning records. That's what this team would have to do once they get into the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. That's not going to happen. Hasn't happened since November 30th and December 3rd. You think this team is going to do that now? You think this team is not going to get embarrassed on national TV when they play the Kings? Or if they win that game and then play the loser of the Clippers and the Timberwolves? Embarrassment will be coming. So why would you want to see this team get into the play-in tournament? There is one reason why you would want this. There is one reason why you would accept the embarrassment that would take. I just laid it out to you. They would have to do something they haven't done since December 3rd. But you want to get into the play-in tournament to avoid one thing. You want to take that pick that's going to Houston, and you want to make sure it doesn't have any ping pong balls bouncing around when the draft lottery happens. You want to avoid being one of those teams. Because as of right now, let's see what the odds are. I haven't looked at this today. Right now, Phoenix has the 12th best odds. 7.1% chance of having a top 4 pick, a 1.5% chance of having the number 1 pick. You want that pick to avoid being in the lottery. You want to be one of those teams that doesn't have the ping pong balls. That's the reason why you want to get into the play-in tournament. You want to get into the play-in tournament to potentially remove the ability for you to have ping pong balls in the draft lottery. That's it. You're not going to make noise in the playoffs. You're 5 games below 500. You're not going to make noise once you get in there against Oklahoma City because that's who you're probably going to draw in the first round as the 8th seed. You're making noise against Oklahoma City? Are you? You want to get into the play-in tournament. You want to potentially sneak into the playoffs to do one thing and one thing only. You want to avoid your pick going to Houston and have their ping pong balls be attached to it. That's it. That's the only thing you're trying to do. And you would accept the embarrassment that might come with getting swept or just getting blown out in every game you play. You would rather take that on to avoid those ping pong balls bouncing it away. And we'll do it. I haven't done it today. I'll sim the lottery. They stayed at 12 in the simulation that I just did. But you don't want it to be where the ping pong balls fall and they're picking in the top 3. That's it. That's the only reason why. There's no magical, they might go on a run once they get in there. No. You would want them to finish off this playoff run, win those 2 games in the play-in tournament, all to avoid the ping pong balls. That is it. So if that's your reasoning behind wanting to see this through, if that's your reasoning for thinking they still have a chance, I get you. Because the last thing, it would be the icing on the top of the cake for this season if they ended up in a spot where the ping pong balls are bouncing around and they ended up picking inside the top 3 and that pick conveys to Houston. That is the cherry on top for what has been a disaster of a season for the Phoenix Suns. Coming up on the other side of the break, he's expected to return. Is that the right decision? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
The NAIA, JUCO, Small College, High School Sports, and you. Listen to Vince and Friends with the Varsity Sports Show here on KDUS AM 1060, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
The Offspring. Supercharged worldwide in 25. One unforgettable summer night. The Offspring, live in Phoenix. With special guests, Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory. Playing Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater August 27th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. 3 great bands. One incredible show. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
The clock is ticking. Truck month at Santan Ford won't last forever. Get up to $10,000 off new 24 Ford F-150s and full-size Broncos, or $7,000 off on new Super Duty trucks, including lifted builds, courtesy of Santan Ford Customs. With hundreds of vehicles in stock and priced to sell, your next truck is at Santan Ford in Gilbert or online at santanford.com. Hurry, truck month won't last forever.
We are Santan Ford.
Restrictions may apply. Offers expire March 31st, 2025. See Santan Ford for details.
When you help St. Mary's Food Bank feed Arizona families in need, it feeds something in you too. It feels great knowing you're helping others put food on the table. And it feels like nothing to your wallet, because you get a dollar for dollar Arizona charitable tax credit, up to $938. So donate today at stmarysfoodbank.org. You feed others, and your kindness doesn't cost you a thing.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Home Buyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit andrewthehomebuyer.com.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
Springtime savings are going on now at Mark Kia, just off the 101 in Indian School.
Right now, you can receive up to $10,000 customer cash on the brand new all-electric 2024 Kia EV6. The name to remember? Mark Kia. Mark Kia.
Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app. That's your way of taking us with you on the go. Your one-stop shop for everything here on the station, KDUS AM 1060. So download the app wherever you get your app store, the Google Play Store, wherever it may be. Download the KDUS AM 1060 app today. A bunch of reports yesterday pointing to a return for the head basketball coach at Arizona State. Bobby Hurley expected to return for an 11th season. These reports came out before the Sun Devils fell to Kansas State 71-66 in the Big 12 tournament. There has not been an official announcement yet, but you had the AP report this. I think there were some local reports about it. I saw John Rothstein, big college basketball insider for CBS Sports, also report it. So a lot of reports pointing to Bobby Hurley returning for his 11th season. And we have spent a lot of time discussing what the future would hold for Bobby Hurley and the Sun Devil basketball program. And I laid out a case of what do you want your head coach to be? Do you want your head coach to be a awesome recruiter, or do you want your head coach to be an X's and O's guy, right? I think those are the two buckets that coaches kind of fall into these days. I am a world-class recruiter. I get the best talent. The talent plays. Maybe I don't get more out of less, but you give me the best talent in the world, and I'm going to make it happen. Or do you have the X's and O's coach who isn't putting together top 10, top 20 recruiting classes, but gets more out of that roster and is able to succeed and maybe exceed expectations a little bit? And I made the case that in the world of NIL, in the world where dollars speak more than a recruiting pitch from a coach anymore, that maybe you need to have a more X's and O's coach that can out-scheme the opposing team, that can get more out of less, and is just able to maximize the talent that's on the roster. That's the argument for making a change. The counter argument is you move to the Big 12. It's your first year in the Big 12. You expected it to be bumpy. It was not. Nobody should have ever thought that it was going to go the way it went for Kenny Dillingham and the football program, because guess what? Nobody expected it to look like that for ASU. Anybody have on their bingo card a Big 12 championship appearance, let alone winning it, let alone being in the college football playoff, let alone being one defensive play away from winning a college football playoff game? Take all that off the table. Did you expect them to be in the top half of the Big 12 standings in football? All of it was house money. Basketball had a similar type feel to it, right? It was, we got to get accustomed to playing Kansas a couple times a year. We got to get accustomed to playing the powerhouses of the Big 12. Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, right? All these teams that are the top teams in the Big 12. And so this team has reportedly made a decision to bring back Bobby Hurley for an 11th year. His contract, I believe, is up at the end of next season. So he has a prove-it year next year, a make-it-or-break-it year next year for this team. They have made a couple of NCAA tournaments, have never gone on that deep run. They finished off a year where they went 13-19, 4-17 in the Big 12. You can see how the adjustment period went in the Big 12. Here's what Hurley said after the game yesterday about the team, about the season overall. Quote, "It's something that will weigh on me. I'll have a lot of regret. If we had the whole puzzle together, this was an NCAA tournament team, and that's just not what it is right now at the moment." You think this was an NCAA tournament team, then I kind of have to look at you. Now, a lot went wrong for this team. Injuries piled up. Two of their bigger recruits in terms of talent sidelined with injuries. Their leading scorer dismissed from the team at the end of February. Just all in all, everything that could go wrong did go wrong for the Sun Devils. And most of the time, when a season goes this sideways, you give a coach, you give a program a mulligan. You say, listen, I'm not sure anybody could have handled the injuries that this team piled up. The off-the-court stuff that this team piled up. They had 6 scholarship players late in the year. It was impressive that the other night in Tucson against U of A that they were even able to keep that game close, considering they had 6 scholarship players available to them. You normally would give a coach, a program, a mulligan. But there is some previous baggage of not meeting those expectations. And so, listen, I thought a change made sense. I thought going into year 2 in the Big 12, you want to hit the ground running. Okay, you had a bad year. Here's your chance to reset. The program decided differently. They decided that they are going to run it back. Again, no official announcement yet, at least not as of sitting here right this second, at least not one that I've seen. But a lot of reports pointing to bringing him back and giving it another go. And listen, here is the one thing that I think everybody agrees on going into this year. This is last chance saloon for Bobby Hurley. If you have another 13-19 year, if you have another 4-17 year in the conference, there is no excuse for that. Injuries or not, if that record gets returned this year, if you have another year like you did this year, then you're going to make a change. There's going to be no mulligan. There's going to be no more excuses. Because you could make the case of making a change now. But okay, we changed conferences. It was always going to be an uphill battle. And then the injuries piled up. And we had to dismiss the leading scorer of the team. All of this chaos. Let's wipe the slate clean. Year 2 of the Big 12. Another chance to recruit. Another year with these players. Let's see what it looks like. I mean, Bobby said that he thought this was a NCAA tournament team. All right, if you can be healthy, if you can add some talent in recruiting, then you got to go out there and prove it. The expectations for this team right now as we sit here today, you got to make the tournament next year. That's it. There's no coming up short, being one of the first 4 out. You have to be a tournament team next year or else there's going to be a change. That's the expectation because he's entering his 11th year and he said it, that this team was an NCAA tournament team if they had the whole puzzle together. The mandate is put the puzzle together and make it to the tournament next year. You don't have to win the Big 12. You don't have to be a top 5, top 10 team in the nation. You don't have to do that. You have to make the tournament next year. You have to achieve that goal. You don't have to be what you were in 2017 when you were number 3 in the country after a 12-0 start. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that team. But you have to show that it was the right decision to bring back Bobby Hurley, and he is the right man to lead this program as they continue their transition into the Big 12, as they enter year 2. You have to make the tournament. You have to be a tournament team because those were the expectations this year. This year, where you were supposed to be a tournament team, and you weren't. And so now, you have one more chance. Last chance saloon for Bobby Hurley to make the tournament, to turn this program around, to show that this team, this program, this basketball unit is on the right path. I would have made a change. The runway has been pretty long, but okay, you want to talk about injuries? You want to talk about having 6 scholarship players at the end of the year for all of those different reasons? Okay. There are no more excuses, though. Excuses come off the table going into next year. You have to be a tournament team. 480-864-1060, the phone number. If you want to hop into the program here today at any point, we've also got you over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream as well. Coming up on the other side of the break, we will wrap up hour number 1 of the lunch break with a bit of a recap. Where do we stand in the battle for the Diamondbacks' last couple of rotation spots? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
springtime savings are going on now at Mark Mazda in Scottsdale. If you've been holding off on a new car, listen up. Right now, receive 2.9% APR for 72 months on the brand new 2025 Mazda CX-50.
Looking to lease instead? You can lease a 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid for just $379 a month plus tax for 36 months with just $29.99 down. Come see us at the Scottsdale Auto Show or go to markmazdascottsdale.com.
The name to remember? Mark Mazda. Mark Mazda. On approved credit plus $998 fee.
Papa Roach.
This is my last resort. That's what she said, I don't have to.
With Rise Against, celebrating 25 years. Rise of the Roach Tour. Rockin' Talkin' Stick Resort Amphitheater, March 25th. With special guest, Under Oath. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Papa Roach and Rise Against together on one epic night. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
After we met and we started dating, Nancy and I lived 150 miles apart, and I would drive my old jalopy car, and it was roughly a 3-hour distance. It took 3 years I drove across that state back and forth dating her every weekend.
Persistence.
And I would have never stopped. I had a lot of energy back then. 36 years ago.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Catch the Dan Patrick Show live weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060.
Back to wrap up hour number one here of the program. Appreciate you joining us here today on the show. The Diamondbacks in spring training action, needing to navigate the weather here throughout the rest of the week. Some rain's supposed to roll in, I think, tomorrow, and that can kind of mess up your plans for what you're trying to do with your pitching matchups, guys you're trying to get in and see some action from, guys that you're trying to evaluate. You want to get these guys ready for contributing in the regular season as a part of your roster. And so navigating all of that, looks like Jordan Montgomery is going to pitch on the backfields either today or tomorrow. Not going to actually see some action. They're getting him away from in-game action because of the rain. Want to get him some time, want to get him some work. And so that led me to wonder aloud a question of where things stand right now for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Where do things stand when it comes to their rotation? We know Corbin Burns, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly are locks for this rotation. Those three guys, write them in Sharpie. I think we've all kind of thought that you could write Eduardo Rodriguez's name in pen, maybe not Sharpie, but it's in pen. And then there was one spot still left. And the guys that were competing for that spot, Brennan Pfaadt, Ryan Nelson, Jordan Montgomery. 3 guys, 1, maybe 2 spots. Well, spring stats don't mean a whole lot. But here's where everybody in that rotation stands. Corbin Burns has made 4 starts, has allowed 1 earned run in 9 1/3 innings worth of work, 13 strikeouts to 2 walks. He has been as advertised every single time that he steps out there. Your excitement should build for Corbin Burns being a member of this rotation with each passing spring start that we get. He has been awesome every time he has gone out. Zach Gallen, he has made 3 starts, 5 innings worth of work, the 2 runs in those 5 innings, 8 strikeouts to the 3 walks. Has allowed 1 home run. All right, not as great as Corbin Burns, but you know what you're getting with Zach Allen. Merrill Kelly, he's made 3 starts, 7 2/3 innings worth of action. He's allowed 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. He has given up 10 hits, some of the leader in hits amongst his pitching staff. Okay, Merrill Kelly, you know what you're getting there. Now we evaluate the other guys. Eduardo Rodriguez has made 1 start so far, has thrown 2 innings, but looked good in those innings. No hits, no runs, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. Looked good in his 2 innings worth of work. Brendan Pfaadt, this is where it's a bit of a mixed bag. 3 games pitched. He's made 2 starts, 6 1/3, 4 earned runs, 10 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. He has had a rough spring. Hasn't looked great in comparison to everybody else. Jordan Montgomery did not look good in the 1 start that he had, the 1 game that he pitched in. 1/3 of work, 5 earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks. Not great. Maybe a part of the reason why they're moving him to the backfields to get some work, not in a game, because things just didn't look right. Velocity wasn't there, just still working on things. Then that leaves Ryan Nelson. He's made 1 start, 2 appearances, 4 1/3 innings worth of work, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks in that time frame. So you know what you're getting from the guys at the top. Eduardo Rodriguez looked good in his 1 lone outing so far. So again, put his name in pen, not fully there for the Sharpie yet. And if you had to just base it on the way they have looked so far in spring, and you don't take into account previous work or their whole body of work, Ryan Nelson is the leader for the 5th and final spot in this rotation. It would be Ryan Nelson, it would be Brendan Pfaadt, it would be Jordan Montgomery. Right? If we were just doing this based off of the way they have pitched so far in the spring, that's how I would handicap it. That Ryan Nelson should be the guy. We would write his name in pencil for that 5th and final rotation spot. Now, he was pretty good in the second half of last year when he made some starts for this team. In July, he had a 2.41 ERA. In August, a 3.19 ERA. 10 starts over those 2 months. To start the year, he had a 4.6 ERA in April, a 6.93 ERA in May, a 5.2 ERA in June. He was not pitching very well. Found something there in the second half. A sub-3 ERA, a sub-2.5 ERA in July, a 3.19 ERA in August. When it mattered most late in the season, he found it. And so you take that second half, you take what he did in July, in August, had a 4 ERA in September in 2 starts. But you take what he found in the second half and you ask yourself, that plus what he's doing so far in the spring, looking the best out of all 3 of those guys, right? Out of the 3 guys that are competing for that final spot, Ryan Nelson has looked the best. Is that enough to say that's our guy, Brendan Pfaadt? You're going to be maybe a swingman. Maybe we're going to start you down in the minors. You're going to be our depth. What is the right course of action for this team? This is a good problem to have when you have all of these starting pitching options and you're trying to figure out how best to deploy them. And I'm a merits-based guy. I don't care how big your contract is. I don't care what you've done in the past. What have you done for me lately? Because while Ryan Nelson was having the second half that he was having last year, I'm trying to find a breakdown of first half, second half numbers for Ryan Nelson. But while he was 4-0 with a 3.23 ERA in the second half in 10 starts, after having a 4.98 ERA in 15 first half starts. So after going 4-0 with a 3.23 ERA in 10, that's your 5-starter. Your 5-starter is going to give me a 3.23 ERA in 10 starts. That plus what we've seen so far in the spring, I'd much rather that than what Jordan Montgomery gave you in the second half of last year, or what Jordan Montgomery gave you all of last year, plus his slow start to the spring. Which would you rather have? The answer is pretty obvious. You'd rather have the guy who you saw make the adjustments, you saw be better in the second half, and it looks like those adjustments are carrying over. It's one thing to have a nice little stretch. It's one thing to have maybe a 4-5, 2-month stretch, right? 4-5 starts, 2-month stretch where you look like you've made an adjustment. To now carry those adjustments over into the following season, that's when you know that lasting change has been made. Would you rather that guy or the guy who had a 5.96 ERA in the 8 games that he started, the 12 games that he pitched in overall in the second half? Or the guy who in the 13 starts in the first half had a 6.44 ERA? Because that's what Jordan Montgomery gave you last year. And I know you're paying him a lot, but I am not, under any circumstance, going to allow my season to get derailed because Jordan Montgomery makes $20+ million and I'm going to give him the ball every 5th day. Guess what? Torey Lovello and the Arizona Diamondbacks showed you that contracts don't matter because last year they moved him out of the rotation. When they realized that they needed a change because their season was hanging in the balance, they were trying to keep up in the National League wildcard race. They made the change already. They moved him to the bullpen. They said, you are not a starter for us anymore. So to me, this was always 2 guys for 1 spot. And I wanted it to be Brendan Pfaadt. I wanted him to be the guy that grabbed this spot and just dominated in the spring because I thought his stuff played the best out of these 3 guys. I thought the potential played the best, but perhaps Ryan Nelson's potential as a 27-year-old is starting to blossom. And so if we're looking at this right now, there's a lot of time between now and when they have to make this decision. But this rotation to me is Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Ryan Nelson. That's it. Those are the 5 guys. You want to change up the order because you want Zach Gallen to be the quote-unquote number 1. You want him to be the ace, whatever. So be it. I think it's Corbin Burnes. But okay. You've got steady, reliable 1 through 3 that includes 2 aces, 2 Cy Young candidates. Merrill Kelly, one of the more underrated pitchers in the game. Eduardo Rodriguez, who is, and I do not mean this as an insult, I mean this as a compliment because in baseball, I think this is a lost art. This is your innings eater guy. This is somebody that you know you're going to be able to give the ball as long as he's healthy every 5 days and he's going to give you 6 innings. That's all you ask for. He got off to a rocky start last year with this team. Signs that big deal with them in the offseason and just was not healthy at the start of the year. It took some time. Now, things a little different. You feel like you're going to see a better version of Eduardo Rodriguez when we get to the beginning of the season. And then Ryan Nelson, who of all the guys competing for this last spot is the only guy that you can comfortably say has taken this competition and he's thrived in it. I shared you the numbers. You don't even need the numbers. Watch Brendan Pfaadt's starts here or his appearances here in spring. Jordan Montgomery has made 1 appearance, and it didn't go very well, so much so as they're taking him out of game action, and they're saying it's the rain, and I think that's part of it, but I think they also want to get him in a low-leverage environment. The velocity wasn't good, was down about, I think, 3 miles an hour from where his average is. Just a lot of issues that they're going to try to work through with him. So I think he's off the table. I think this is Brendan Pfaadt, Ryan Nelson, and I think this is Ryan Nelson's job to lose right now. That's how I would set it up. That's how I would set up this rotation right now. You have to hit the ground running. This is one of your strengths. The strength of this team is their pitching. Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen as aces. Merrill Kelly, I said it, I'll say it again, one of the more underrated pitchers in the National League. That is the backbone of what this team is going to be this year. They are going to thrive or fail based on how good their starting pitching is. You need to pick the right 5 guys for this spot. 3, 4 of them, I think, are locked in, and we are moving closer and closer to, I think, the 5th spot being locked in and it being Ryan Nelson's job to lose. That's where I would handicap it right now. We've got 2 more weeks for this all to play out. Hour number 1 of the program in the books. Hour number 2 right around the corner. How do we start? We'll start with this. 17 games to go. I think it's fair to ask, is Coach Bud's job on the line? That's next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
AM 1060. 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
At the Phoenix Zoo, we are the home of and which also makes us the home of Phoenix Zoo. That zoo we are. For tickets, hours, and much more, visit phoenixzoo.org.
Hi, Luis Gonzalez here. Want to bet? Feel the thrill of Casino Arizona with 1,400 of the hottest slots and nonstop table game action. We make winners, no experience necessary. Join us for the best bingo in the valley with daily sessions. Indulge in all-you-can-eat Eagles Buffet or enjoy fine dining experience at the award-winning Choya Steakhouse. Enjoy top-notch local entertainment, tribute bands, and viewing parties at CAZ Sports Bar, just off the 101 in McKellips. Casino Arizona, uniquely Arizona.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
Only in theaters. Rated PG-13.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The legacy continues. Pantera. The heaviest tour of the summer. Tearing up Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, August 26th. With Amon Amarth. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
We're proud to introduce Prasada, the newest master plan community in the thriving West Valley. This beautiful community features open spaces, multiple parks, a resort-style pool, and so much more. Fulton Homes, you're proud to own, we're proud to build.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
12:03 here on a Wednesday. What do you say? One more hour here of the program. Appreciate you being here on this Wednesday edition of the show. Whether you're listening to us on AM 1060, either you're on the app or you're joining us on the video version of the show on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. However you are listening, we appreciate you being here. The Suns back in action tonight, finishing off a 4-game road trip. They will take on the Houston Rockets. We'll preview the matchup a little bit later on this hour. I read a really interesting story out of Houston today that I think is a just big red siren telling me how tonight's going to go. I'll talk to you about that a little bit later on here in the show. But tonight's game and then 16 more. That's all that's left for the Phoenix Suns. 17 games to go this season, and then one of the more anticipated off seasons in recent Suns history, I think, is upon us. Not necessarily in a good way. They're about to blow up their big three that they built with the goal of winning a championship, and they didn't even get anywhere close. So it's not like a celebratory, oh, man, what a fun offseason. Team's got $150 million in cap space, and there's a bunch of star players, and they have all these draft picks, and they might get a superstar. It's not like what happened in New York with the Knicks last offseason, where injuries derailed you in the postseason, so you get there, you get knocked out, and then boom, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges. It's not that. It is, we got to reimagine this team. We got to retool this team's got to look very different going into next season. That's why it's highly anticipated, because it's going to look a lot different. And I think we're all waiting in anticipation to see, one, who's in charge of making these decisions. Are there changes in the front office? But what this vision looks like, and do the Suns show that they have learned from what is, the only word to describe this is, it has been a failure. Have they learned from it? This summer we'll learn that answer. And so that's why it's a highly anticipated summer upcoming for the Phoenix Suns. One of the byproducts of this highly anticipated summer, one of the questions that will get answered probably relatively quickly. It will certainly get answered quicker than the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. It will get answered quicker than whatever they do in free agency, what other trades they might make. But that is the future of Mike Budenholzer. And do the Suns do the unthinkable and go 4 coaches in 4 years? You dump Monty Williams. That era runs its course. Frank Vogel, boom, you're in. You're our guy, NBA championship winner coach, championship caliber defensive coach, is going to completely remake this team. Boy, do we long for the days of Frank Vogel being in charge here. I'd very happily go back to that. That doesn't work out. You think the investment into focusing so heavily on defense hurt you on the offensive side, so now you go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. You see this in the NFL all the time, right? If you fire a head coach who was a former offensive coordinator, was an offensive mind, normally you go to the other end of the spectrum, the other end of the scale, and you go for a defensive-minded head coach. And then you oscillate back and forth until you hopefully find your Andy Reid, your Bill Belichick. You just bounce back and forth. So defensive coach in Frank Vogel, we're now going to go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. We're going to get somebody who's known for being an offensive-first guy, for having an offensive mentality. And that's another championship caliber coach, won an NBA title, but we're going to go with Mike Budenholzer. So Monty into Frank, into Mike, and now into a question mark. Will it be Coach Bud? Will it be Mike Budenholzer? Or will it be somebody else? Will it be a 4th coach in 4 years? And just saying that sentence out loud, it probably made some of your stomachs churn. You don't necessarily love the idea of going 4 coaches in 4 years. It just reeks of instability. It reeks of a front office and an ownership group that has no idea what they're doing. Is that really going to be the selling point for prospective free agents? Because remember, no matter what you do with the coach, this roster is going to look a lot different, and you're going to have to usher in another era of Suns basketball, and you're going to have to attract free agents. You're going to have to go out and make a sales pitch to guys to join your team when you're ready to build the next version of the Phoenix Suns, a championship version of the Phoenix Suns. Do you really want the stigma that is attached to that of you fired 4 coaches in 4 years, or you had 4 coaches in 4 years? You fired a coach 3 consecutive off seasons? That stigma hurts. That stigma has an impact. It is going to make people think twice about wanting to join the Phoenix Suns. The play is also going to make them wonder about joining the Phoenix Suns. They're going to ask Tyus Jones, Mason Plumlee, Yusuf Nurkic. They're going to ask those guys about their time in Phoenix. That's also going to have an impact. And so the stigma of 4 coaches in 4 years, it just on the surface bothers me, because it just reeks of you not knowing what you're doing. Because if you knew what you were doing, even if you fired a coach and then hired Frank Vogel, you fire Monty Williams, you hire Frank Vogel. Okay, that didn't work. You fired Frank Vogel. We're going to hire Mike Budenholzer. You would have had 2 full coaching searches and you still couldn't get it right. It just reeks of incompetence. And when you worry about your front office, about your ownership being incompetent, it makes you worry about everything else. It throws everything else into question, because you can't win unless you're competent in the front office, unless you're competent in the ownership group. If there's not competency there, if there isn't a steady stable hand guiding things at those levels, it's really hard to succeed. Really difficult. And so going through 2 head coaching searches and missing on both of them after 1 year. You hired Frank Vogel to a 5-year contract. 5-year deal. You fired him after year 1. It means you're paying him for the next 4 years unless he picks up another gig. I forget what Coach Bud's contract was, but I think it was something similar, the 4 or 5 year variety. You fire him, you're paying out the rest of that contract unless he goes someplace else. It's a lot of money to be carrying on your books for coaches that aren't coaching for you. So is Coach Bud's job on the line over these last 17 games? Or is just the fact that it would be 4 coaches in 4 years enough to take that completely off the table? I'll tell you what I feel. I feel like these 17 games matter towards his future. Now, I don't want to talk out of both ends of my mouth because I said a few weeks ago on this show that I would do one of 2 things with Coach Bud. I would either fire him or I would give him a endorsement. I would give him a vote of confidence publicly because I wanted them to play the young kids. I wanted them to empty the reserves and evaluate this roster for next year. That was all because I thought this season was done and over with. I still do, but Dallas, this was pre-Kyrie Irving getting hurt, and we were talking about 20, 25 games to go. What are you really getting at this point? Team's not going anywhere. Let's get a jump start on next season. Let's get a jump start on evaluating these players, and let's see more Colin Gillespie. Let's see more Bol. Let's see more Ryan Dunn. Let's just see any Ryan Dunn. Let's see Nick Richards play a heavy dose of minutes. Let's see these guys in action so that next year you have a jump start on this roster. And I said you can only do that if the coach feels the stability or is no longer here. Because other than that, Coach Bud is going to coach this team to win every single basketball game and is going to try until the bitter end to get this team into the playoffs, until they are actually mathematically eliminated. So I said you have 2 choices. You either jumpstart the process and you fire him, or you give him a vote of confidence. Now, I don't love the vote of confidence, but at least it would free him up to do the right thing for this team. If you keep him in coaching limbo, then the only thing he's going to do is be full steam ahead. So he is going to coach these 17 games like his job depends on it. And unless we hear otherwise, it probably does. But to me, at some point, you have to give out that vote of confidence if you are going to bring him back to free him up to play all these young players. And maybe because of the Kyrie Irving injury, they're still going to push. They're still going to go for it. And so that means Ryan Dunn plays 27 seconds. That means Nick Richards isn't available in the 4th quarter of games for whatever reason. And so you're going to continue to push full steam ahead to try to catch Dallas and to try to sneak in to the play-in tournament so that at least it's not a complete and utter embarrassment. So maybe Coach Bud can make the case to move on. But I have been incredibly suspicious of some of these coaching decisions as of late, mainly all year. And so if Kevin Durant's leaving this summer, see, here's the difference, right? Here's why I push back on the idea of 4 coaches in 4 years being a bad thing. You're about to make a major change in the direction of this team. Retool, right? That's the word we've used. Retool versus rebuild. But a retool is coming. Expectations change. You brought Coach Bud in here to oversee a championship team. Clearly, that's not happening. Clearly, that is over. So now you have a new phase of Phoenix Suns basketball. So you have to ask yourself this question, and this is the only question in my mind that matters. Is Coach Bud the right guy to lead this next chapter? Is Coach Bud the right guy to oversee a retool? Coach Bud, Frank Vogel, they were brought in here to oversee a championship window. This summer, you are putting that championship window, you're slamming it shut. You're closing it. You're not opening that window up until it's springtime again, right? It's the winter. I'm not letting the snow in. I'm slamming the window shut. That's what you're doing this summer when you trade Kevin Durant. The only question you have to answer is Coach Bud the right guy to oversee that process? And I'm sorry, but from what I have seen so far, my answer is no. And so that means I'm making a coaching change. If I'm willing to accept the financial ramifications of that, of paying multiple coaches, then I'm doing it. I don't care if it's a bad PR hit. I don't care if the rest of the league looks at me funny for 4 coaches in 4 years. I need to make sure I get this right. This is the most highly anticipated Phoenix Suns summer in a really long time. Why? Because they have to get this right. If they want this to be less painful, if they want this to not be a 5, 7, maybe 10-year process where you are just bottom of the barrel, picking in the lottery every year, and it is just a bad season after bad season, if you want to avoid that, if you want this to be some quick pain, a Band-Aid fix, 2 or 3 years, retool, we're right back, then you have to get this summer right, and that includes making the coaching decision. So this is the question I want you to think about over these final 17 games while you're watching this team play. And maybe you've already come to this conclusion, but I'd ask you to give it the rest of these 17 games. When you watch Mike Budenholzer coach this team, is that the guy that you want to oversee this transition period? Is that the guy that you want to see develop the young players that this team has? Is that the right guy for this process? I know where I stand right now. I would make a change. I'm sure most of you out there are looking at it the same way, but you're just basing it off of what the expectations were for this year and not meeting them. I'm looking at this from the perspective of this future, this summer is really darn important. You've got to get all of this right. You have to. If this was a gymnastics meet in the Olympics, you got to score perfect 10s across the board. Every judge has got to give you a 10 for your routine. You've got to stick the landing. The coaching is a part of sticking that landing. So ask yourself that question when you are watching these final 17 games. But is his job on the line? It certainly should be. Because I'm watching a coach that needs to sell me on him being the guy that gets to see this transition through. 480-864-1060, the phone number for you to join the conversation here today throughout the course of the show. We've got a couple more segments here before we're out of here on a Wednesday. Coming up on the other side of the break, are the Arizona Cardinals letting free agency pass them by? It's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Dan Patrick and the Danettes, and more on the Dan Patrick Show weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
At A1 Garage Door Service, we wouldn't be here without you. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello. During Customer Appreciation Month, we're giving back with special offers that you do not want to miss. Whether you're a loyal customer or trying us out for the first time, if you've never experienced A1, now's the perfect time to see why so many families trust A1. To all of our past, present, and future customers, thank you.
A1Garage.com, A1 from day one.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Desert Diamond West Valley, where there's next level action and jackpot winning smiles all around. So get your shine on, light up the room, show us what it's all about. It's Slide into Cash. Every Thursday in March from 4 to 7 p.m., 2 winners each hour race to score all-star prizes up to $5,000. It's time to live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino West Valley.
An enterprise of the Donna Ogden Nation.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Houston Texans offseason has been nothing short of baffling, with C.J. Stroud still on a rookie deal. The blueprint is clear. Build an elite supporting cast while his contract allows for flexibility. Last year, Houston appeared to follow that plan, adding Stephon Diggs to a promising wide receiving core with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. But they overlooked a glaring issue, the offensive line. Stroud was under pressure all season long. The Texans allowed the third most sacks in the NFL, and rather than fortifying Stroud's supporting cast, Houston has seemingly regressed. Diggs is a free agent, Dell likely out for the season, and the offensive line has been gutted, including former first-round pick Kenyon Green and all-pro left tackle Laramie Tunsil. Also starting right guard Shaq Mason, all gone. Stroud's rookie contract provides a fleeting window of opportunity, and if the Texans don't capitalize soon, it'll be tough to build around that franchise quarterback when he starts to get paid. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to stand out, and that's where True Green comes in. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think. They'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They will come back between visits to make it right. So don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today and let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results. Exclusions apply. See truegreen.com for details.
Buying a home used to feel like a complete headache. Listings here, pre-approval there, financing somewhere else. Now, Rocket is giving every home one address. Rocket.com. A single seamless homeownership platform to help you find, buy, sell, finance, and refinance your home. Everything you need, all under one roof. Visit Rocket.com, the new home for all things homeownership. Rocket. Own the dream.
Have you downloaded the KTUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
In about, I don't know, 39 minutes or so, 38 minutes or so, it will officially be the new league year in the NFL. So I'm going to get you ready for it now. If you're on social media around that time, you're going to see a lot of lame tweets from people, okay? And this is me giving you some friendly advice. You're going to see a lot of lame tweets from people saying Happy New Year because it's the brand new NFL league year. So I'm going to get out in front of this and just warn you that there are going to be some people that make that lame joke on Twitter here in a little bit, okay? Because that's when all of this stuff becomes official. That's when all of these reported, agreed-to signings can be pen to paper. That's when T's can be crossed, I's can be dotted, Josh Sweat can officially become an Arizona Cardinal, right? Jacoby Brissett can officially become an Arizona Cardinal. All of these things can be official. All of those cuts that are reported, right? Cooper Kupp is been informed that he is going to get cut. All of that stuff doesn't get processed until 1 o'clock today. So that's going to happen at the top of the hour. Now, that doesn't mean free agency is over at the top of the hour. Free agency is going to continue on, and we're going to start to see more and more signings all across the league. And noticeably, other than Jacoby Brissett yesterday, since making the big splash, since diving into the free agency pool in a big way by landing pass rusher Josh Sweat, 4 years, $76.4 million, $19 million per year. And by the way, I ran the math on this because I said it in real time on Monday, and I've allowed the dust to settle a little bit, and I've been able to look at these numbers. The average for Sweat on this deal is $19.1 million. Do you want to know where that ranks among pass rushers? It's outside the top 10. Max Crosby just got $35.5 million a year. Nick Bosa, $34 million a year in his deal with the 49ers. TJ Watt, $28 million. Brian Burns, $28 million. Myles Garrett, the new deal that he's signing, has him way up there. But all right, you don't want to look at this from a pure numbers perspective. I'm going to teach everybody something here today. I feel an obligation at times to help you become a more informed sports fan. Stop looking at these contracts in terms of dollar amount because it all blurs together. Max Crosby gets $35 million a season, becomes what, the highest paid non-quarterback, right? Micah Parsons is going to break that record. Micah Parsons is going to clear, $40, $50 million when he makes his new deal, right? All that stuff, right? You look at it and you go, man, Myles Garrett's getting $40 million per year. Okay, $40 million is a lot of money. You can't look at it dollar amount to dollar amount and compare it to other guys. What you have to do, the thing you have to do is look at it in terms of the percentage of the cap. The cap is always going up. These TV deals increase more and more money. Teams got $25 million more to spend this year than they did last year. So when edge rushers hit the market, they're going to want a piece of that new $25 million that becomes available. When wide receivers hit free agency, they're going to want a chunk of that $25 million that's available, but the pie is bigger. So you have to look at this in terms of how much of the cap are they eating up. Myles Garrett, his new deal, 14% of the cap when he signed it. That's a lot. That's a big chunk of the cap, but that's third amongst pass rushers. Okay. Josh Sweat, 6.84% of the cap. He's taking up way less of the Arizona Cardinals cap at nearly $20 million a season than Myles Garrett is at $40 million a season. Myles Garrett is taking up 14% of the Cleveland Browns cap. Josh Sweat, $20 million a season nearly. Big deal. One of the biggest deals we've seen on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. He's making up not even 7% of the Cardinals cap. This is what I want to teach you today. Look at these deals through how much of the cap they are eating up. And compare that to the percentage of cap of the deals that everybody else got, right? TJ Watt, when he signed his deal, 15% of the cap when he got his 4-year, $112 million deal. Myles Garrett just got $40 million. He got more money than TJ Watt, right? He got more money. He accounts for less of the cap when he signed than TJ Watt does. That's the difference. So that's what I want you to take away from this. Josh Sweat, that is a bargain for the Arizona Cardinals. That is a home run. It's a big contract, 4 years, $76 million. It's a big swing for Monty Ossenfort. But in the grand scheme of all the other dollars that are being given out and all the money we're seeing at the pass rush position, Josh Sweat isn't Myles Garrett. I get that. But when you look at it in those numbers, guys are getting over 30, 35 million. They're taking up big chunks of the cap. Josh Sweat isn't. A really nice deal for Monty Ossenfort. Now, maybe this is me buttering up Monty, talking nicely about him and how good of a deal this is structured-wise, to just tear him down by saying, hey, you know there's more free agency that's happening. You know there's other positions that you can go out and get. This team needs another wide receiver. This team needs some help on the interior defensive line. I'd like another edge rusher. You got Jacoby Brissett. We talked about that to open the show. Love that move a lot. Experienced, veteran backup who's made 50-plus starts. Has a decent track record, was a starter last year in New England. All the praise in the world. That's a nice move by Monty to get a backup quarterback. But they are letting free agency pass them by. This can't be all that they do. They need to do more than what they are currently doing. You can't just have an offseason that's Josh Sweat and Jacoby Brissett and call it a free agency period. That's not good enough. This team needs more help than that. This team, I think, needs a starting right guard. This team needs another wide receiver. This team needs interior defensive line help. This team needs another pass rusher. This team needs a lot. I don't even know if I covered everything right there. They need a lot. And in a year when you only have 5 draft picks, comp picks came out yesterday. Cardinals not getting any of those. 5 picks. You're not going to address all of that with those 5 picks. You've still got money to spend. You still have a ton of cap space. Over the cap has them at about $72 million. Let's just say it's a full $19 million. It probably won't be. They'll probably structure the deal really nicely and take a limited cap hit in year one. But let's just say you have then over, $50 million, $52, $53 million in cap space? Spend it. Use it. Make this team better. Now, there's still some wide receivers available. There's still some. The defensive tackle market has completely passed them by. I don't really love any of the options that still remain there. That group has passed them by. The wide receiver market hasn't passed them by yet, but with each day that passes, with each hour that ticks by, you start to get a little worried that the Cardinals are no longer making any more big splashes, that they're just going to make some moves on the margins. They're not done. This is not the Bills. This is not the Chiefs who can make those moves on the margins, the Eagles who can make moves on the margins because you really love your roster. This team can't just say, we added Josh Sweat, we brought back Baron Browning, we're good, pass rush set. Can't say that. Not good enough. interior defensive line. Roy Lopez signed a super nice deal with another team. The Cardinals couldn't do that. Cardinals felt like they have either better options in free agency. I'd like to see who they end up signing. Or they think they're going to land somebody like that in the draft. Okay. You're leaving it up to chance, though. Free agency is passing this team by. You made the splash on day one. Great. Round of applause for you that you made the splash on day one that everybody said you needed to make. Great. But you don't get to rest back on that and then do nothing else and make no other meaningful additions. You got a backup quarterback. Great. You need starters along your interior defensive line. You need a number 2 wide receiver to add to this group. Now, maybe you're going to go out and sign Cooper Kupp. Okay. I'm going to give you the opportunity. But as we sit here right now, I can't help but look at all of this and say, do they know free agency is ongoing, right? They know it's not just a 1 or 2 day thing. They know they're allowed to sign people still, right? Okay. Because I'd like to see them make some more moves because this roster is not complete yet. They are not complete. 480-864-1060. That is the phone number for you to join the conversation here today or also on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Coming up on the other side of the break, this is another night where the injury report favors the Phoenix Suns, but it might just lead to another disappointing outcome. I'll explain what I mean next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
It gets a little crazy in the sports zoo sometimes. Listen weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. with The Rooster right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Do you know when you realize you made a horrible mistake and got stuck with the wrong injury lawyer? When it's too late. Hi, I'm Mark Breyer.
And I'm Alexis Breyer. We're the husband and wife law team. You can protect your rights by asking the right questions. When was the last time the leaders of the firm went to trial? And why does their fee go up if they have to file suit after an unfair offer?
That's right, Alexis, but we know those firms don't want you asking those questions, and they're not going to answer them. They're going to dance around it. Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband and wife law team first.
Hey basketball fans, Tom Chambers here reminding you that just like in a game, you need a solid defense for your home. And that starts with a reliable roof from Right Way Roofing. Hey Lori, as owner of Right Way Roofing, what sets you apart from the competition?
Our team tackles any roofing challenge from shingles to tile to foam roofing. We'll make sure your roof wins against the toughest opponents, rain, wind, and even those scorching summer days.
Make Right Way Roofing your MVP.
We're Right Way Roofing and we do it right. We'll always keep you watertight.
Phoenix, are you ready to ascend? Bring me the horizon. USA Ascension Program Part 1.
Every sky will build, my friend.
Taking over Footprint Center, October 2nd, with special guest
Crawling from hell.
Motionless in White, The Plot in You, and Amira El Fiki. On sale now at livenation.com. Bring me the horizon. Presented by the Big Red Radio.
Only 50% of Arizonans believe their health insurance will cover them in a major medical emergency, like a car accident or an unexpected life-changing diagnosis. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Arizona aims to change that perception. AZ Blue often takes care of more than 99% of hospital charges in major emergencies, protecting you and your family from devastating financial consequences. To learn more about how AZ Blue protects its members, head to azblue.com/true story.
Breakfast!
Mom, my jersey.
In the dryer.
Mom, have you seen my science project?
Front closet.
Hey, I'll run out and pick up your mom's,
Already got it.
Oh, nice.
All right, out the door in 3, 2, 1.
At Banner Health, we're here to help you feel 100% so you can give 110. Because we know your health is what enables you to get where you need to go and bring everyone along with you. Banner Health. Exhale.
Matazel Hotel and Casino is giving away a 2025 Jeep Willys 4x4 and your share of $6,000 this spring. Earn entries by earning 200 base points through April 23rd. Weekly drawings every Wednesday from 5 to 8 p.m. The grand prize drawing will be on April 30th from 4 to 9 p.m. See Players Club for details. Don't miss your chance to win. Only at Matazel Hotel and Casino in Payson. Just a short scenic drive from the valley. Matazel Hotel and Casino, Arizona's friendliest casino. Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Finishing up a 4-game road trip tonight. Phoenix Suns will take on the Houston Rockets in Houston, finishing up their 4-game road trip. This is it, their last opportunity to check the final box for us, right? We said 2-2 road trip, beat Dallas, steal one of the other games. We would consider that a success. We would say, great job. You've allowed us for at least just a brief moment to think you are still in this. Tonight, their last chance to check that box, their last chance to steal one of those games on the road. They will do that with I said this earlier in the week, but a very nice 5 o'clock start. Because let's be honest, these basketball games are a bit of a grind at times, okay? It's not always enjoyable watching this team play. When I got to sit down at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night to watch this team play, and now it's like 8, it's like 9, 10, sometimes even 11 o'clock when this game is wrapping up, and then I'm immediately going to bed, just annoyed, ticked off, just they do something stupid that just, now I can't sleep because I'm just annoyed with the way the team plays. You get this game in at 5 o'clock, we're going to be done by 8, 8:15, and then I'll be able to enjoy the rest of my night, decompress a little bit, and I won't have to go to bed angry if things go sideways. So I am all in favor of these 5 o'clock starts that we're getting tonight. Injury report, doesn't look like Grayson Allen is going to play tonight for the Phoenix Suns. On the other side, for the Rockets, they're going to get Fred VanVleet back into their starting lineup. They will not have Reed Shepherd. They will not have Amen Thompson. They will not have those two guys as a part of their team tonight. And so immediately you think to yourself that this feels like another night, just like the other night against Memphis, where you have an advantage on the injury report. Some star players missing for the Houston Rockets. And one of the things I like doing ahead of these previews, ahead of talking about the team that they're playing, I got to get the local flavor. I got to see what the people who cover the Houston Rockets are saying about their team. And I found a story that was talking about the way things are going right now for Houston, how they're managing these injuries. And I will tell you, reading the story scared me about tonight's basketball game. Danielle Lerner, staff writer for the Houston Chronicle, wrote a story this morning titled, "The Rockets are trying a new look before the NBA playoffs. So far, the makeover is working." And what it talked about is they've had some injuries pile up for them, right? They haven't had Fred VanVleet. They've been without Reed Shepherd, Amen Thompson, right? They've had these guys out of the starting lineup. It's forced them to kind of rethink things a little bit. And one of the things they've done, this story points out, is that Ime Udoka has changed the way he's coaching. He's a man-to-man style defensive coach. They've sprinkled in some more zone, and they've done something that, if you're watching this game tonight, should scare the daylights out of you. They have been using recently, over the last couple of games, a double big man lineup. They have been using both Steven Adams and Şengün on the floor at the same time. And the reason why they are doing it is it has been helping them on the defensive end with their zone, but it's also helped them with rebounding. If I could envision a change a team could make that could give the Suns fits, think about this. The Houston Rockets are going to a double big man lineup. So tonight, watching this game, pay attention. You might see a lot of Şengün and Steven Adams together, two big men just dominating inside. Do you think that the Phoenix Suns are going to win the rebounding battle tonight? Do you think they're going to have a good night on the offensive side of things? Do you think they're going to have some success limiting those second chance possessions for Houston on offense? Because I read this story and read what they're doing, and I thought, oh boy, might be a long night for the Phoenix Suns. Might be a long night on the offensive glass, giving these additional opportunities to Houston. And they're going to get their point guard back in Fred VanVleet. They've been using a lot of Jalen Green as their point guard in the absence of VanVleet and with Thompson out. They've been using a lot of Green in as the point guard. Looks like Fred VanVleet is going to play tonight, listed as probable for this game. So they're going to get back to more of their traditional look. But the story pointed out in the Chronicle that they're not going to just go back to what they were doing, where they play match defense and they do a lot of switching. They're not doing that. They are going to continue rolling out this zone look, continue rolling out this look of two big men, two centers patrolling the interior, and that just spells bad news for the Phoenix Suns. Because to me, if you're going to win that battle against Şengün, against Steven Adams, if you're going to win that battle, if you're going to be able to dominate, on the boards, and you're going to be able to earn those second chance opportunities, if you're going to be able to keep it even on the offensive glass and make sure that Houston's not getting those second opportunities, then you got to bring the physicality. Is Mason Plumlee going to bring that physicality? Is Kevin Durant? Is Bol? Are you going to get the physicality from those guys? Now, listen, if they're going to go to this two big man approach, you can kind of space them out a little bit, and you might get some looks from behind the three-point line. There are ways to turn it into a benefit for you, but you got to make those shots. You have to knock down those threes so where they don't have that rebounding advantage, because they're going to have it tonight. This is a Houston team that you have played previously, and you've played them close previously. 119, 111, the first time that you played them a month ago today. We remember that game very well. That was the game that this team had late in the fourth quarter until they rallied. Now, in that game, it was Thompson who had a triple-double, 18 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. And that was how they were able to lead the comeback. They don't have him tonight. If we look at the way that game went the previous time that they played, they got big minutes from Thompson, who gave them 18. Brooks was really good for them with another 18. Şengün had 17. Jalen Green had 22. They had Reed Shepherd provide them with some minutes off the bench. Not going to have him tonight. So you're going to have to, and they didn't have Fred VanVleet the last time they played. They're going to have VanVleet, at least according to reports. Looks like he's probable. Looks like he's going to give it a go tonight. But I'm scared of this double big lineup that Houston might throw and this zone look that they might throw. I'm just worried about how the Suns are going to handle it. Are they going to be able to bring out the physicality? They got to have this game tonight. They have to. They've waited until the last possible opportunity to steal one like we've asked. But they've got to steal this one tonight. And here's what I would say. There's no reason to think that they can't. I would understand you for doubting them. I do not think it is wise to go into this game thinking they're going to win. I don't think it's wise to go into this game tonight expecting they're going to win. Would I be surprised if they win? No. They almost beat them the last time they played. Houston had to make a comeback. The Suns gave the game away. If the Suns don't give the game away, they beat Houston the first time around. So they could very easily do it again tonight. And you're also going to be paying attention because the Mavs are going to match back up with the Spurs. Here's your chance to get that game back if the Spurs are able to win against the Mavs this go around. So you're going to be scoreboard watching. That's going at the same time you are. The Suns have to have this game tonight. They have to. You lose this game, you drop to 6 games below 500. Let's say Dallas wins tonight. Right now you sit 2.5. You're going to be 3.5 games out of a spot. 3.5 with 16 to go. You're starting to get to that place where the math is all of a sudden not on your side. There's too many games for you to make up, and we don't trust it. The schedule only gets harder after this. You're going to have a little bit of a reprieve when you play the Bulls and Toronto, but you can't call that a reprieve anymore. I watched this team lose to Toronto. I watched this team give games away over and over and over again, so you can't call anything a reprieve, but you know what's on the other side of that. Toronto and Chicago are going to be some of the more favorable matchups you're going to have here over the coming weeks. You have to have this game tonight. And you're not going to have Grayson Allen. We know what Bradley Beal's status is for tonight. They're managing Bradley Beal's calf. He's not listed on the injury report, so that tells me that he's probably going to be good to go tonight. Probably see Bradley Beal out there. So you're going to have the big three all together once again. Do they bring the physicality? When they see that look from Houston with the two bigs on the floor, are they able to match the physicality? Are they able to at least keep it close in the rebounding department? That, to me, feels like it's going to be the difference. Because I read this story and I went, man, if there's one thing that I would design that could cause the Phoenix Suns fits, it would be that. It would be some extra physicality down low on rebounding because the Phoenix Suns don't really provide that. How many times do you watch the Phoenix Suns kind of just stand and look up at the basket and somebody comes flying in to grab a rebound on the offensive end to keep the possession alive? How many times do you watch it? How many times do you watch the Phoenix Suns have nobody down low in the paint trying to grab offensive rebounds? You think it's going to be easier to do that against this double big lineup tonight? So I read that story today in the Houston Chronicle and was fascinated by it because it just feels like that is the one thing that could give the Phoenix Suns fits tonight. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on how the big three gel together. Keep an eye on, do we start to see some the minutes piling up here for Durant and Booker. That's another thing we're constantly keeping an eye on because the minutes have just gotten heavier and heavier as this season has progressed. And can anybody step up? What does Nick Richards' role look like tonight? All of these questions on the table in a game that the Phoenix Suns have to have tonight against Houston. And then scoreboard watch what's going on in San Antonio when Dallas takes on the Spurs. Phone number, 480-864-1060. Last call, your last chance to get involved in here with the program. We've also got you, the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream as well. You can share your thoughts over on that platform. When we come back on the other side of the break, we wrap up today's edition of the program. It's the leftovers, all the stories that we didn't get to here throughout the course of the show. We'll do it next here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show dives into Arizona high school sports, JUCO, NAIA, and NCAA sports. Catch it Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
The Renaissance Festival is back, weekends now through March 30th. Be ready to have a great time. Amazing adventure awaits the entire family. New shows, shopping, jousting nights, non-stop feasting. Leave your cares behind. Happiness reigns at the Renaissance Festival. It's fun and affordable. You'll love the Renaissance. Visit now through March 30th. Discount tickets available at Bashers' and Food City or online at arizona.renfestinfo.com. Presented by Delta Airlines, Bashers', Food City, Pepsi, Budweiser, and Guinness. Huzzah!
Hey, Mike Barrow from Barrow's Pizza here. The way we see it, family isn't just a cherished thing, it's everything. For us, that starts with our Grandma Angelina's family recipes, brought over from Sarconi, Italy. Like our sweet and tangy pizza sauce, 100% real mozzarella, and our fresh dough made every morning. And because every Barrow's is family-owned, never franchised, we personally make sure the quality's there at every location. So stop in and give Barrow's Pizza a try. It's authentic food from our family to yours.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
Back to wrap up today's edition of the show. Appreciate you being here, KDUS AM 1060. Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app. You can take us with you on the go. You don't have to just be in your car or sitting at your computer. The KDUS AM 1060 app, one button, one press, boom, you are listening live to everything here on KDUS AM 1060. So make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app today. We wrap up this edition of the show the way we wrap up every edition of the program, the leftovers, all the stories that we didn't get to throughout the course of the show. We pile them all into one segment here and wrap up the program. Some news yesterday, Tiger Woods ruptured his Achilles, had to undergo some surgery, so he's going to be out for a little bit. And I think we've just come to learn that this is just what it is with Tiger Woods at this point, that he just battles these health issues over and over and over again. The back, the knee, now the Achilles. He hurt it while training in a ramp up to get ready for the season and the events that he was going to appear, and now he is going to be sidelined. And look, I used to be one of these people who enjoyed Tiger Woods growing up, didn't think he was ever going to reach those heights again, and then saw what I call, and I'm willing to debate people on this. This is for me personally, somebody who's been around and on this earth for 30 years. So there are a lot of you out there that are probably older than me that have seen cooler things than Tiger Woods winning the Masters the year that he did. What was that, 2019? Winning that Masters. To me, that is the greatest sporting achievement that I've seen in my lifetime. when you consider the context surrounding what it took for him to get back to that stage to be able to win that event, how he won that event, first time in his career that he came back on a Sunday of a major to win it. Just everything about it, to me, it is the greatest sporting achievement that I have seen in my 30 years of being on this earth. Again, I'm sure there are achievements that are bigger than that I didn't see. But when it comes to things that I have seen with my two eyes, that is at the top of the list. I don't think there's anything that comes close to that. So I'm no longer going to be the guy that says he can't win again because he proved us wrong once before. It just feels like you no longer expect it, and you're just happy when he's out there. You're happy to see him on the course, wish him well in his recovery, and hope that he can get back to playing golf sometime soon. Wednesday, that's today, a statement was released by the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Pac-12, the SEC, and the NCAA. They put out a joint statement acknowledging that there is a committee, the Settlement Implementation Committee, that is a group of athletic directors and legal counsel for the different conferences that have been meeting regularly to come together to regulate and enforce rules that are going to need to be put in place when colleges can directly start paying players once this House versus NCAA settlement goes into effect. It is a $2.8 billion antitrust settlement. It is the case that is the House versus NCAA antitrust lawsuit. That is anticipated to happen. There's a hearing on April 7th for it. And as long as the final approval happens shortly thereafter that hearing, then the NCAA, these conferences, these colleges are going to have to institute all of these rules and regulate these rules. Part of this agreement to settle these lawsuits, the conferences and the NCAA are going to start sharing up to $20.5 million this upcoming school year directly with the players. You want to call it a quote-unquote salary cap. That is what the schools will be able to directly give out to these players. I'm reading the Athletic story that broke down this news. Here is what the committee is working on. How schools that opt into this settlement report what they're spending. They are assessing the legitimacy of third-party name, image, and likeness deals between college athletes and collectives. They are working on drafting new rules and clarifying the existing ones that relate to scholarship limits, roster limits, all that stuff. And they are creating a new entity to enforce rules, investigate potential violations, and dish out penalties. All in all, if I can nicely wrap this up into one sentence for us all, they are reworking college sports. It is a complete reimagining of college sports. A reimagining of everything. How these players get paid, that they get paid, the salary cap system, how it's managed, the way the rosters are put together. Everything about college sports gets upended once this system is put in place. Seems like a lot of work to do before the 2025-26 school year begins, huh? Feels like a lot of work to create a brand new panel, governing body, organization, whatever word you want to use, that's going to enforce all of these rules, that's going to investigate when they think somebody is running afoul. We have always said, at least I have always said, that this goes beyond the NCAA. They have proven over and over and over again they are unable or incapable of being able to oversee all of this. They're just bad at it. That's okay. They just have to admit that they're bad at it, and we have to come up with a better system. Do I think this is going to be a better system? I don't know. Let me see what it looks like. Because there is a committee that is going to oversee all of this and try to put all of this stuff into place. There's going to be road bumps. There's going to be poor implementation. This is a complete reimagining, and they need to do this without actually the settlement getting approved yet. So these conferences, the NCAA, this new body that gets put together, they're all going to have to work in conjunction. And you just worry about there being too many cooks in the kitchen. You worry about it coming to a place of where everybody is trying to protect their own interests and how they can try to skirt the rules themselves. Just feels like a way for everybody to try to create some carve-outs for themselves, to try to insulate themselves from all of this. It just feels like it's going to be the wild, wild west. We are going to get to a place where we're just going to have to call this for what it is. Some of these sports have grown so large and have TV deals so big that they are professional sports by nature. college football, by its nature, is a professional sport. It has amateurs playing it, right? Because they're not in the NFL, but it is basically a minor league system for the NFL that makes billions and billions of dollars. Now, I'm just a radio host. I'm not paid money to implement the idea I'm about to share with you. But this is just something that, and again, we probably would have to go over this with a fine-tooth comb. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would tell me 400 reasons why this wouldn't work. But to me, the place that we get to is college football is on its own. And that's not new. People have been talking about that for a long time. But college football is its own separate entity. And to me, what ends up happening is these schools get paid money directly to license out the name. We'll just use Arizona State as an example. The U of A also applies. Pick any team. We'll just use South State. We'll make up a school. They have a college football program. South State has a college football program. South State is making billions and billions of dollars, millions of dollars as part of a TV deal that they're a part of because they're in this huge conference, right? And so they now are a professional sport. They are a professional team inside this new conference, this new league that is being created that is college football. But they want to be called South State. Well, they have to pay the university, South State University, they have to, quote unquote, pay them for the rights to be called South State University and be in this college league. And then the money that gets sent to the college for all of this gets reinvested into all the other sports. Because one of the other problems here is if you go and do all of this separately, a lot of the money that comes in for the NIL collective gets distributed to these other sports. And so if college football goes out and does its own thing and they're just separate from everything else, where's the money that's coming in for these other sports? And so that's where this fee comes into place. And again, is it the best idea? No. Are there loopholes and flaws with it? Yes. But you have to find a way to be able to separate college football from all of this and yet at the same time not diminish all of the other sports in your institution because of it. And it is a weird balance. And to me, it is going to be the wild, wild west until somebody figures out the right way to do all of this. And it's going to be ugly. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily fun at all times. And this committee, this Settlement Implementation Committee, is starting that work. But creating a new body, a new entity, drafting new rules, figuring out how schools are going to opt in, you are starting something from scratch. You are starting something from zero. That is a heavy, heavy lift. And that is a heavy, heavy lift before we get to the 2025-26 school year. That's a heavy lift to then tell all these programs, hey, you're going to have $20.5 million that you're going to be able to directly share with all of these players across all your sports. If you don't have a governing body that's overseeing that, it could get scary in a hurry. I have always been a believer in paying these players and them sharing in their name, image, and likeness. But it has gotten to a place where this is now the wild, wild west, and I don't know if there is a group, a body that is trustworthy enough right now to be able to get us to a place where there are rules, there are regulations. The reason why the NFL and these professional sports work, you have a union. You have a union that collectively bargains the agreement that oversees the sport, that collectively bargains the way these players get paid. Is that can of worms going to get opened by the NCAA and these schools? If they're being honest, they don't want to do that. They don't want to go down that path, but that might be the only way out. So just something to file away. The hearing for this is April 7th. That is the day of the final for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. That is the day. That is a Monday. That is the day of the championship game. That is when the hearing on this will take place, and then the approval of it will happen, or approval or denial will happen a little bit after that. So the entire makeup of college sports could be changing right in front of our eyes as they are working on plans to figure out how they're going to distribute and share this new revenue that they are entering into. So fascinating to see what they come up with, and see how it's implemented. And the skeptic in me is wondering how it's going to get exploited by everybody involved. That is going to do it for us here on today's edition of the program. Producer Dylan, thank you for all that you do. Jim Rome coming up next. Hope everybody has a great rest of your Wednesday. We are back tomorrow here on the program. We'll talk to you then. See ya!